My name is Christopher Allen Maloney, and this is Why This Movie, a podcast where we talk about the movies we love and why we love them. Today I'm talking with my friend Maria, a Boston transplant from Puerto Rico. Maria, how are you?
I'm fine.
And so what movie are we talking about today?
They're talking about my favorite movie, Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris from 2011 is a Woody Allen movie, meaning he wrote and directed it. In a lot of his movies, he's the lead, playing the same kind of nervous, neurotic, overthinking, weak-willed guy. He passed on appearing in this movie, instead handing over the part of the neurotic lead to Owen Wilson. Wilson plays Gil Pender, a writer on holiday in Paris with his fiancée, played by Rachel McAdams. Feeling restless and out of place, he starts wandering around the city at night. When midnight strikes, he finds himself transported to Paris from the 1920s, meeting famous artists and writers from the period in a series of events that demonstrates how dissatisfied he is with his own life in the present.
What time did you get in last night?
Not that late. Yeah, I'll probably end up going on another little hike tonight.
Where'd Gil run off to?
I've been walking around Paris.
Where do you think Gil goes every night?
He walks and gets ideas.
Why are you so dressed up?
I was just doing a little writing.
You dress up and put on cologne to write?
Because you know how I think better in the shower and I get the positive ions going in there?
I had a private detective follow him.
And what happened?
I don't know. The detective agency says the detective is missing.
I'm in a very perplexing situation.
Wilson's character meets a host of legendary artists and writers, all of whom were hanging out in Paris at this time in history. He crosses paths with F. Scott Fitzgerald and his wife Zelda, Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, and Pablo Picasso, among others. He also encounters a Parisian woman from the Jazz Age during these time slips to whom he feels an immediate attraction.
Artists are like children.
Well, you certainly understand why all these guys want to paint you, because you have just about one of the best faces ever. I mean, it's so interesting.
Oh.
You know, it's just...
You're interesting too, in a lost way.
Lost? Oh, well, I guess I am lost.
Tell me more about your book.
My book is kind of a... You know what? I couldn't care less about my book tonight. I just want to walk around Paris with you.
I keep forgetting you're just a tourist.
That's putting it mildly.
The movie is really about nostalgia, romanticizing times from our personal past, or, in the case of Gil Pender, a past era. But what if, no matter what time we find ourselves, we feel this aching for something we envision to be simpler, or more romantic, or more exciting?
What are you talking about?
We should stay here. It's the start of La Belle Époque. It's the greatest, most beautiful era Paris has ever known.
Yeah, but what about the 20s and the Charleston and the Fitzgeralds and the Hemingways? I mean, I love those guys.
Well, it's the present. It's dull.
Dull? It's not my present. I'm from 2010.
What do you mean?
I dropped in on you the same way we're dropping in on the 1890s.
You did?
I was trying to escape my present the same way you're trying to escape yours to a golden age.
Woody Allen won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for Midnight in Paris, which would become his most successful in terms of box office. Can you tell me about seeing this movie for the first time?
So that was something that I was thinking about because it was 2011. I saw it like right away when it came out, and I was like 20 years old. I remember going to the movie, but I like to the movies to watch it, but I don't remember like all the details. What caught me about the movie was first that it was in Paris, which is my favorite city, and then like how it was pictured, that we always think that the past was better than the future, but then like how they develop to show us that not necessarily the past is better than the present.
Yeah, I like when like basically it's about nostalgia and thinking that there were times in the past that are romanticized and that you wish you could go back to, but if you went back to those times in the past, there would be people living during that time who would wish that they could go back to times earlier than that.
Adriana, if you stay here, though, and this becomes your present, then pretty soon you'll start imagining another time was really your, was really the golden time. Yeah, that's, what the present is. It's a little unsatisfying because life's a little unsatisfying.
That's the problem with writers. You are so full of words. But I am more emotional. And I'm gonna stay and live in Paris' most glorious time. You made a choice to leave Paris once and you regretted it.
Yeah, I did regret it. It was a bad decision, but at least it was a choice. I mean, it was a real choice. This way, I think, is crazy. It doesn't really work. If I ever want to write something worthwhile, I have to, get rid of my illusions, and that I'd be happier in the past is probably one of them.
Can you tell me about your time in Paris? I've never been.
So I have been a couple of times to Paris. I remember the first time that I went, I was 14 years old because in Puerto Rico there's like, instead of like Sweet 16, there's like the quinceañera thing, and I picked going to Paris because when I was a kid I watched Anastasia, and for some reason I always since then wanted to go to Paris. And that first time for me, it was like the city was better than I imagined. I don't know, like I think that this movie really showed like the pictures like in the opening, and every like all the cinematography that shows Paris is everything that I remember of it, like very historic but at the same time very modern. And like it shows like, and I felt the je ne sais quoi of Paris a lot because it has like basically everything. I remember seeing like the Eiffel Tower for the first time. Maybe because I was a kid and like everything for me was like very big. Because I remember like the other times that I have been, like I don't know if I was a kid and then I was an adult when I went, and like I don't know, I felt like the magic in it. Like everything's so big and like very historic, but at the same time, it's like all the luxury and the fashion and everything, and people were like so stylish, so simple. I don't know.
So you went when you were 14, and then how old were you when you went the next time?
I think that I was 21. I was 22 actually. It was like a year after this movie was released.
Oh, okay. And how was that different?
From the first time, so I was an adult. I was not with my parents. I was with people my age, and I got to see like another Paris. Maybe with my parents, I did something like more historic. Now it was like I did like a lot of historic things too, because it was like a college trip, but at the same time we hung out. Like I was with I it was the first time that I went, even though I was like in a college trip, I was by myself without my family. So it was like more of like the young experience, like hanging out and like seeing maybe the nightlife of Paris than anything else.
Did you ever take any strolls the way that Gil does in the movie?
Yeah, I did it the last time that I went. That was well, I have been to France after, but to Paris in 2014. I went and I did that after I went to the Orsay Museum, and then I took a stroll, and actually it was raining, and it reminded me a lot about that movie. Because I was looking for a church called the Saint Chapelle, which is like a very small Gothic church. I never found the church, so after that I just took a stroll and like lose myself in the streets of Paris. It's very easy to lose yourself.
What are some of your favorite parts of the movie?
My favorite parts of the movie, I think that my favorite part is the end, because I remember watching when they were with Adriana at the end, and like when she said like, oh, but this is like the Belle Epoque is like the best time in the world, like I wanted to stay there. She wanted to stay there, but then like he was saying like no, like when he realized that there's nothing glamorous or like that the past is better than the present, it's just that you didn't live it, so you like idealize whatever you read.
I'm having an insight now. It's a minor one, but it explains the anxiety, my dream that I had.
What dream?
I had a dream the other night where it was like a nightmare where I ran out of Zithromax, and then I went to see the dentist, and he didn't have any Novocaine. You see what I'm saying? These people don't have any antibiotics.
I was 20 years old when the movie came out, and like it was like very, I don't know, I was like shocked because maybe at that time I feel that I was like, oh my gosh, maybe my parents' age was better than mine or something like that kind of thing, you know. I know that after that movie I stopped idealizing the past.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. Like, how do you keep that? How do you keep from romanticizing the past or idealizing like a time that you weren't in?
I feel that I have learned to value whatever I'm living, because I noticed that at some point I was like working toward goals, and just like I was looking at the end line and I was not enjoying the process. And I think that is part of the human being, that you just want to skip to the end and do not enjoy that part of the process. But is the process where you really learn? So I have learned to enjoy that, and that's not glamorous. Like the process is never glamorous. Like that's something that I have learned. But on the other side, you will have that moment that really like shows you that everything was worth it, and is a good moment. But to leave that and to really value that, you really need to enjoy that process. And if you start like, if you think that everything that was before you is better, you're never gonna enjoy life, because you're gonna be just like thinking in the good and not in the bad. And I think that that was like what he was like, he thought like, oh, the Hemingway and all these people, all these lives were like so perfect, but in reality like we all have the same problems, like the same family issues and everything. And sometimes it's the most successful people that really have those, like have more issues than anyone else.
Now, having said that, even though you have a good handle on being in the present, if you could do like what Gil does and be transported back to another time, do you have a time that would be?
Maybe the French Revolution.
Why? What? That was very violent and tumultuous.
But at the same time, I don't know, it's like all the ideas, like maybe meeting like all those philosophers and really like seeing people like living those principles and like fighting for them. I think that that will have been amazing for me. And also like I am very like, I like Napoleon's story like a lot, and I don't know, maybe I will try to meet him or something. I think that's the only person in history that I would like to really meet.
Napoleon?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? That's interesting.
Maybe because like he was a very visionary and very good, like a very strategic person, and very like, I imagine him like a very calm mind person. And for like I try to, like a very cold mind person, like he just thinking his strategy, and like he doesn't feel like pain or sorry for anything. He just go for what he wants, and that's it. Yeah. And very good like in war strategy. Like I did like a couple of projects in college, and he like in war stuff, like the way that he like plans stuff was always present. Like people like really study that from him.
Do you ever think that in order to like really accomplish something, whether it be, I mean, like militarily like Napoleon, but not just that, but if you're going to accomplish something that seems like humanly impossible, you almost have to give up some of your humanity to do it?
I think that yeah, well, not maybe like a lot of like your humanity, but you need to like, it's very lonely, I feel. And I think that when we talk about the Steven Spielberg movie about his life, that I think that it's his uncle that goes to his room and he said like, oh, you're gonna be away from your family, like you're gonna be lonely in the in and I think that from that was like one of my favorite scene of the movie, because it is so true. Like if you want to do like something really really big, people are not going to understand most of the time. Your families maybe is not going to understand either, and you just have to trust in your God and just go for it.
The Fablemans.
Yeah, the famous.
Yeah, that was my favorite moment from the movie too.
Oh, you love those people, huh? Your sisters, your mama, your papa. Except this. This I think you love a little more.
No, I don't.
All right, run all you want, boy chick, but you know I ain't whistling Dixie here. You will make your movies, and you will do your art. And you'll remember how it hurt. So you know what I'm saying? Art will give you crowns in heaven and laurels on earth. But it'll tear your heart out and leave you lonely. You'll be a shanda for your loved ones, an exile in the desert, a gypsy. Art is no game. Art is dangerous as a lion's mouth. It'll bite your head off.
I think that when you meet people that are very successful, they all have some degree of like loneliness in their life.
Yeah, you're probably right. So this is a Woody Allen movie, obviously. The last time I watched Midnight in Paris, I remember, well, first of all, I had forgotten how funny it is. I mean, like, it's poignant too, but it's really funny. It's like laugh out loud funny at points.
Yeah.
And then also, like when Woody Allen, he either casts himself in a movie or there's a guy in the movie that's playing someone like him. And I thought Owen Wilson played like a Woody Allen type so well, even down to like the posture and the way he spoke. Like Owen Wilson has such a distinct way of talking normally, but the way he talked, you could imagine Woody Allen delivering those lines.
Yeah, I forget that about Woody Allen, but it's true. Like I rewatched a movie last week and it's completely true. Because I was looking for interviews about Woody Allen on this movie, and it was like kind of hard to find stuff in YouTube. But I saw like a couple of his interview, and now I can see like Owen Wilson like really like trying to like his demeanor like looks similar to Woody Allen.
Did I tell you that I saw Woody Allen once when I lived in New York?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like seeing Bugs Bunny because you don't expect, like, he's such a personality. You don't expect to, like, see him in the flesh. But, yeah, when I lived in New York for a couple of years, I was on the east side of Manhattan, and I saw him walking with his wife, Sun Yi, like a couple steps behind her, kind of holding her hand. But it didn't look like the way, like, a couple would hold hands. It looked like the way a little kid would hold his mom's hand. It was really weird. But he was dressed like exactly as you would expect. Like,
did you talk to him?
No, and no one else really even noticed, I don't think. But it was definitely him.
It's so hard to notice someone in New York.
So speaking of Sun Yi, his wife, does it make a difference to you when someone like Woody Allen, who is the mind behind your favorite movie, when things about his personal life are made public and they're like very unsavory things, does that ever threaten to get in the way of you enjoying the movie?
No, I don't think that at the time I watched the movie for the first time, I was very like I knew a lot about like his personal life. But I don't think that if that will have changed like anything, to be honest. I think that it was like very well written. I loved magic realism like books like 100 Years of Solitude and that kind of stuff. And for the first time in a movie, like for me it was like the first time in a movie that I saw something like that, but like not like a book that was like made movie, not something that was like really written for movies that really show those elements.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things he does best, magic realism. Have you seen The Purple Rose of Cairo?
No.
It came out in 1985, and it's about this lady who kind of goes to the movies all the time as a way to escape her own life. And then when she's watching this movie called The Purple Rose of Cairo at the movie theater, the characters step out of the movie and she interacts with them and even develops like a relationship with one of them.
My God, you must really love this picture.
Me?
You've been here all day, and I've seen you here twice before.
You mean me?
Yes, you. This is the 5th time you're seeing this.
Henry, come here, quickly.
I gotta speak to you.
Listen, old sport, you're on the wrong side.
Tom, get back here. We're in the middle of a story.
Have a look around. Go on without me. We can't continue with the story.
It's Cecilia. I'll go get the manager.
Let's get out of here and go somewhere where we can talk.
Wrong, Cecilia. I'm free. After 2,000 performances, the same knot routine.
It never really like explains how that happens, but it's like the magic realism that Woody Allen does sometimes, really effectively. But I think, especially if you like that sort of thing that he does, I think you would like that movie. So I'm going to recommend it to you. Have you seen Match Point with Scarlett Johansson? He directed that, and it was a little before Midnight in Paris, but there are parts even where it I don't know if you would call it magic realism, but there are parts when like people who have died in the movie are there talking it's almost like ghosts, which you wouldn't really expect from him.
Hugo is another good example of magic realism too.
Oh yeah, I love Hugo. When I saw that at the movie theater in 3D, I still think it's the best use of 3D I've ever seen, because you know the beginning scene when it's kind of showing like you're zooming through the streets of Paris. It honestly felt like we were moving. Like it felt like you were flying through the streets. I've never had that happen before. If you had to say what this movie is really about, I mean, besides like the plot points and what actually happens, like what's at the essence of it? What's Midnight in Paris really about?
As I mentioned, I rewatched it the movie last week, and I felt also that it is about like the human being always like afraid of the future. Like he wants like something, maybe because now I relate more to that, about like wanting to switch like careers, but maybe from screenwriter to like write more fiction, and like all the fear when you have like something that is stable, just to try something new and like I don't know, start again like in an area where you always like, but you never know if you're gonna be successful in. I think that's like a very big thing in the movie that I didn't catch when I watched it the first time. You wanna do something, and you're afraid of doing it, because for example, he was like a very successful like screenwriter, and he wanted to be like a novelist now. He never have wrote a novel before, so he doesn't know if he's gonna be as successful as he, like at least how he was picturing the movie, that like he was very successful in writing like screen movies and stuff. So so that was something that really caught my eye, that I didn't catch it the first time that I watched the movie.
And it's, how often do you watch it?
So I have to say that I used to watch it a lot, but I don't think that I haven't watched it since 2016 maybe.
Oh, all right. So it's been a while.
Yeah. But like that I have memory of the last time that I watched it was 2014 when I was living in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I think that I watched it after that like few times, but not in recent years.
Thank you for talking to me about your favorite movie. And yeah, I'm happy to recommend any other Woody Allen movies that I think you might like.
Perfect. I love your recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Why This Movie. If you have a movie that you love that you'd like to talk about, email me at christopherallenmaloney@gmail.com, and you may be featured on an upcoming show.